Okay. Mm. Can you see my screen? Okay. So, good morning, everyone. So, this is our session on integrating robust risk analysis into our portfolio management. So, let's start about what we got from what we have to get from this session. So, we are investing. Investing is managing risks, so not predicting prices. And we know that returns are uncertain. Risk is but risk is measurable, and data will help us to make these controlled decisions. So what we are doing is we will be doing more risk analysis to get our portfolio to have a good portfolio management. So our goal is not to beat the market every day. Our goal will be to survive bad markets and grow in the good ones. So many investors will focus on returns only, but when we are professional investors, we will focus on the risk first. Before the returns, we have to first focus on the risk. So this course will teach us how risk analysis will help us to shape our portfolio decisions. So what's risk in investing? Risk is not knowing what tomorrow looks like. We don't know what tomorrow looks like, so we will investigate, and we will try to know what we'll expect, what will tomorrow expect from us. So there are uncertainty of returns, there will be possibility of losses, there are variability of outcomes. For example, we might see market crashes, volatile stocks, or economic shocks. So risk means we don't know what tomorrow will look like. So a stock is going up fast, is more often risky. It might be more often risky when a stock is going up fast. And risk is not bad, but unmanageable risk is dangerous. So we have to know, we have to manage our risks, and we have to know our risks. So risk must be measured, and we cannot just guess our risk. So to get our risk, we will do some analysis, and we will know what will be expected from us. So if we know what will be next tomorrow, so we will be making decisions today. So we are moving from raw market data to investment insights. When we are working on analysis, we have a raw market data, and we will be going to a good investment insight. To get an investment insight, we will use our raw data. So we have prices will help us to know what happened, and we have returns, and returns will show us how risky it was, and we have forecasts, and the forecasts will help us to detect what might happen tomorrow, and we have portfolio finally, which is how we should allocate our capitals. So portfolio management is about balance, not maximizing our assets. So we are always be focused on our on maximizing our returns and minimizing our risks, right? So the first thing we have to know is what the risk looks like. So why risk comes first before portfolio construction? We will have a bad approach when we say we pick assets and we will hope they will perform. This is a bad approach. But the correct approach will be we will measure the risks first, and then we will understand the interaction, and then we will allocate capital accordingly. So we have to, our first step has to be measuring our risks. So measuring our risks will help us to understand our interaction, and then to allocate our capital accordingly. Okay, so data as a foundation of risk analysis. We will use data as our source to detect our risk analysis, to make our risk analysis. So we use historical data to measure the volatility, to estimate downside risk, and to understand asset behaviors. So our key data here, we are using the data, the price data, the return data, and our time. So we don't use data just to predict the exact prices, but we will use data to measure uncertainty, to detect the patterns, and also to make stress test decisions. So we don't use data just to predict the exact ones, but it will help us to measure this uncertainty and to detect patterns. So past data doesn't repeat exactly, but it will inform us in somehow. We will be informed about uh, that data. So why don't we use price directly? Always we are using returns, right? When we are doing our forecasting or doing our risk analysis, we will be using returns, not prices, because prices are not stationary. And returns are comparable and scalable most of the time. So risk will live in the returns, not our prices. So always we are using our returns to calculate to make our forecasting. It could be to make our forecasting or to make our decisions. So return is it can be calculated as the price today will be decreased from the price yesterday, and it will be divided from the price yesterday. So this is our formula to calculate the return, and returns will allow us to for risk measurement, for portfolio math, and for comparisons across our assets. So basic risk matrices that we can use are, the first one is volatility. It is like volatility is a measure of price fluctuations. So risk changes over time. So we are dealing with volatility to check the daily price fluctuations, and we have Sharpe ratio, which is the return per unit of per unit of risk, or the reward or the return we got per unit of risk. And we have the value of risk, the VAR, which is the potential loss under worst case scenarios. So worst expected loss. So these are somehow similar with drawdown. So for value at risk, we are using the worst expected loss. We are calculating the worst expected loss that might happen. Drawdown measures the worst loss from peak to bottom during a specific time period. So the first thing we are doing when we are calculating the drawdown is to track the cumulative value of our investment over time, and then we'll find the highest point, the peak or the highest point reached so far, and then we'll calculate the percentage drop from that peak to the current value, and we will record the worst percentage drop experienced. So this is how we will get our drawdown. We will see it more on the demo. And drawdown reflects emotional and financial stresses because it shows that first actual realized losses investors must endure, and we have recovery difficulty. We might Tesla needs 4 times portfolio value to recover from its peak. So this is more high value. It requests more 4x portfolio value to recover from its peak. So it might be actually difficult to recover, and it will also have a psychological impact. So large drawdowns cause panic selling and poor decisions. So when the drawdown is high, large drawdown ሲኖረን ብዙ ጊዜ ወይ ትሬድ እያደረግን ሲሆን ከዛ በኋላ ላርጅ ድሮዳውን ሲኖረን በጣም ሉዝ እንዳደረገን ስለሆነ የምንረዳው ከዛ ነገር ለመውጣትም ራሱ መውጣትም ሊለን ይችላል ማለት ነው። ሳይኮሎጂካሊ አፌክት ያደርገናል። በጣም ሳይኮሎጂካል ኢምፓክት ይኖረዋል። ሶ እነዚህ ነገሮች ማመጣጠን ይኖርብናል ቀድመን ሪስካችንን አግኝተን ማለት ነው። So the key difference from volatility is volatility measures the potential ups and downs. So it measures the uncertainty. But the drawdown measures the actual worst case losses experienced. So we will measure this, we will have these matrices to measure our risks. So risk is dynamic, risk changes over time. So we have calm periods, crisis periods, and recovery periods, and we have the rolling matrices like the volatility and the returns. So risk today is not the same as risk as last year. Markets become unstable during crisis, like risk clusters in time. So um, this most of the time this justifies like the time series analysis. So they are not the risk is dynamic, and we have to explore our data and understand our risk always before doing any other steps. So we will visualize our historical prices, we will calculate daily returns and volatility. We will identify trends and unusual spikes. So we have said that volatility is will help us to know this how much the price moves day to day, and the returns will help us how much money you would make or lose daily. So we'll have these things to understand our risk and to explore our data. So for forecasting, uh, forecasting will help us to plan the future, not to predict the exact prices. We have seen that yesterday, and we have approaches to use the ARIMA and the LSTM. We will use ARIMA for statistical or stationary trends, and we will use LSTM for deep learning that will handle sequences. And we will visualize our forecasts. We can make it historical versus predicted from prices, and we will highlight confidence intervals or uncertainties, because we have to we have said that we have to always measure our risks, so we have to highlight that, and we will identify trends up and down and stable things. And finally, we will move to our portfolio optimization. After having this deep analysis, after making this deep analysis, what's our final goal is to make the optimization, to make our portfolio optimized. So we will combine multiple assets to balance our risk and returns. The key portfolios that we have to understand are to maximize our Sharpe ratio, or to have the best reward per risk, and to minimize our volatility or to lower our risk. So most of the time we will focus on lowering our risks more. We will have we will try to have the maximum reward, but when we are having the maximum reward seekers, that will have more uncertainty. So we have to balance that. That's why we are combining multiple assets to balance our risks. So portfolio construction philosophy, we will have to always follow the risk first approach. So we have to start with the risk tolerance, then we will allocate assets accordingly. This contrasts with return first approach that may lead to excessive risk taking. So we don't have to take more risk. And risk-aware portfolio will provide better risk-adjusted returns and higher probability of long-term success. So when we know our risk, we will minimize the risk and we will try to maximize our returns. That's what portfolio optimization will do. So what key takeaways we might take from this course is risk is unavoidable. We know that risks are always there, but we can measure the risks. Risk can be measured, and diversification, or applying the portfolio management, or investing on different or multiple assets will reduce our risk, and our forecasts will inform us, while the risk controls our decisions, and data-driven portfolios outperform emotional ones. So we are doing this analysis, data-driven analysis, to always perform, or to always do to have a good portfolio management. So instead of doing emotional things, or instead of guessing on without checking our data, or without doing a deep analysis, always making a deep analysis before knowing our risks, before having a decision, will help us to have to be successful on our tradings. So this is our course about, but we will look into it deep on our demo. If you do have any questions from this course, you can you can ask. And if not, we will move to our demo. So, anyone, do you have any questions? Or let's move to the demo. Great. So let's move to the demo and let's see it in detail. Okay. Can you see my screen, please? Okay. If not, just let me know with your voice if there is any problem. Okay. So we have been seeing about integrating a robust risk analysis into our portfolio management. So in this notebook, we will try to load the financial data. We will try to compute our returns. We will try to measure our risk with volatility, with drawdown, and with VAR. We will understand the diversification through correlation analysis, and we will try to build risk aware versus aggressive portfolios, how they are different, and we will compare their Sharpe ratios and returns. So first, we are importing our libraries here, and I have used the same assets as the tasks that has been given to you, that is the Tesla, the SPY, and the BND. So Tesla has high risk and high return. The SPY has moderate risk and diversified market, and the BND has low risk and it has bonds. We will see it in detail. So first, I downloaded the data by using Y-Finance, and we know that returns matter more than prices. That prices are non-stationary; they trend upward over time, but returns are stationary and they are centered around zero. And volatility and correlation can only be computed on returns, and we will compute our VAR drawdowns to require the return distribution. So let's see our data first. Let's visualize it. So when we visualize, we can see that Tesla has more risk because it's unstable. We can see that, and the BND, you can see it's a straight line. So it's more stable. It's not risky. Most of the time, it will not increase, or the increase and the decrease is very limited. So it's very less risky. We can see it from our visualization. Then we will calculate our returns because we are doing every risk analysis on our returns. So we will be doing our returns. Then returns convert prices into comparable risk units. So we will measure volatility, we will compute correlation, and also risk matrices like drawdown and Sharpe ratios. Okay. So here is our plot for our daily return. So from this visualization, we know that Tesla is extreme daily swings. It has extreme daily swings. It has high volatility clustering during market stress. And for the SPY, it has moderate daily fluctuations. We can see some dots here, the orange ones, but it's not that much fluctuated, or it's not swinging like Tesla. And for the BND, it's minimal. It has minimal daily movements. It's around zero, so it has low volatility, and it will provide us for portfolio stability later. Okay, then we are here calculating the volatility. So you can see that BND has around 61 6.1 annualized volatility, which is very low, and the SPY has around 19.5% annualized volatility, which is moderate. And for the Tesla, we can see that it's around 63.7%, which is very high. So volatility measures how unstable returns are. We are measuring how our returns are unstable. So we can see that Tesla has very extremely high volatility, and our BND has extremely low volatility. So what these numbers mean, we can see that Tesla could swing from 60%, 63% in a typical year, and the SPY also varies 20% annually, and the BND moves like 6% yearly. Then we will calculate our correlation. Correlation is the power of diversification. It will tell us how do our assets move. If we have high correlation, it means they have similar behavior, but it's not diversified. But if we have low correlation, that means we have diversified. We are applying diversification, so that's very good for us. So you can see here we have calculated the correlation, and the Tesla and the SPY has moderate positive correlation. We can see it's around 0.47, and the BND, the Tesla and the BND in the Tesla had around 0.07, which is very low. So it has excellent diversification, and the SPY and the BND had around 0.15, which is also very low correlation, and it will help us for good diversification. So diversification being the BND, we can see the BND is the best diversifier because it has low correlation with both the SPY and the Tesla. And the Tesla and SPY has moderate correlations, and it will help us for our portfolio. Combining all these three assets will reduce our portfolio risk. Okay, so we can also check the correlation by visualizing it. We can see where is high correlated and where is low correlation exists. So diversification only works when assets are not highly correlated. So we don't need a high correlation here. We need low correlation. So our correlation structure will support effective risk reduction through our strategic asset allocation. Okay, then we are calculating our another matrix, which is a downside risk. Which is, for example, we can say on a very bad day, like 5% worst case, how much could I lose? So we are calculating how much we could lose on some confidence level. So we will have provided a confidence level here, and we will calculate our VAR. So we have got our result here. We can see that Tesla has negative 5.9 daily loss for worst 5% of days, and the SPY has negative 1.8 daily loss, and the BND has 0.5% daily loss, which is Tesla's extreme downside. 1 in 20 days could lose 5.9% more. So extreme Tesla is, we will lose extremely on Tesla, and the BND is very stable. Even in our worst days, we might not lose, we might lose only 1%. So that's very stable on the BND. So we will be doing our analysis here, and it will help us to make our portfolio, lastly, to manage our risks. So VAR focuses on downside risk rather than the overall volatility. So investors care more about potential losses than gains, and these matrices will help us to hit risk expectation, and it will help us to make us profitable. So we have also a drawdown. We can calculate our drawdown. So drawdown measures the worst loss from peak to bottom. So this will reflect an emotional and financial stress that we have seen before during the extended market declines. So we can calculate our max drawdowns, and then we can see our analysis here. We see that Tesla has negative 73.6, which is it lost 3 out of 4 of value from peak to through. So Tesla has on high maximum drawdown አለው BND has lower, but I'm lower now. We can see it from our results here. So Tesla's around 73.6%, SPY has 33.7%, and BND has around 18.6%. So Tesla investors will need 4 times portfolio value to recover from their peak, and the SPY investors need 1.5x portfolio value to recover from their peak, and BND investors need only 1.2% portfolio value to recover. So for the psychological impact, we can see that Tesla is extremely emotional. It will make us extreme emotional stress, which is potential panic selling, and SPY has moderate stress, and BND has minimal stress. Almost it promotes us for calm decision making. So for our portfolio, we are always seeing for our portfolio, maximum drawdown is often more important than volatility because it will represent the actual realized losses that investors made during this recovery from. So these matrices will help us to know exactly what our risks are, what will our return be finally. So then we will calculate our returns here. We will calculate our weights here to make risk-aware weighting. So we will make some adjustments from the values we have seen before. We have given it 30% for Tesla and 50% for SPY and 20% for BND. So BND is like a stabilizer because it has low volatility and negative correlation. We have seen a negative correlation with both Tesla and SPY. So it's more stabilizer. We will give it 20% here. And the SPY, it has moderate risk. It's less than Tesla. We have seen that. So we will give it 0.5. And for the Tesla, we are giving it 30%, which has high returns, but it's more risky. So we are giving it 30% here. So we will calculate our returns based on the weights that we have given. So the risk-aware portfolio will provide better risk adjustment returns, and it will help us to have higher probability of long-term success. And then we will calculate our annual returns based on our weights or risk-aware weights that we have calculated. Then our results looks like this. So our annual return will be 20.2%. Our annual volatility will be 19.7%, which is our risk, and our Sharpe ratio will be 0.92. So these numbers mean 20.2 annual return means it's a solid performance exceeding the typical market returns, and 19.7 volatility means the risk level which is similar to SPY alone. So first መጀመሪያ ላይ SPY ቴስላ እና ለብቻቸው ሪስካቸውን ካልኩሌት አድርገን ነበር አይደል? ከዛ የተስላ በጣም ከፍተኛ ነበር 63 ነጥብ አካባቢ ነበር የነበረው። ግን አሁን ይሄንን ሪስክ ይሄንን ፖርትፎሊዮ ቢውልድ ካደረግን በኋላ ሶስቱን አንድ ላይ አድርገን ራሱ ሪስክ ሌቭሉ የሶስቱ አንድ ላይ ሪስክ ሌቭላቸው 19.7 ሆነ ማለት ነው, which is በጣም ቀንሷል. ይሄኛው SPY ለብቻው የነበረው ሪስክ ነው. ሶ የኛን ሪስኩን መቀነሳችንና ሪተርናችን መጨመሩ ፖርትፎሊዮአችን በጣም አሪፍ መሆኑን ያሳየናል ማለት ነው. ሶ 0.92 ሻርፕ ሬሽዮ አለው, which is excellent risk adjusted returns, 0.92 unit of return per unit of risk ማለት ነው ያለ. So we can see that this is our risk aware portfolio, and we can also then try to compare it with an aggressive portfolio. So we are giving 0.6 for Tesla, 60% for Tesla, 30% for SPY, and 1% for BND. We are giving these weights just aggressive ነው ማለት አስበን ሳይሆን just ዝም ብለን ነው እየሰጠን ያለ ነው ሪተርናችን እንዲጨምር በሚል ብቻ ሞር ሪተርን ያለውን ተስላን 60% ነው እየሰጠን ያለ ነው. So let's compare our annual return based on our weights we have provided here. So we can see here 0.1 0.01, which is 11%, and this is also 11.5%. So annual return 11.4 no, which is lower than the risk aware. And we can see the annual volatility 11.6 no, which is lower than risk aware no. Then we have the Sharpe ratio, which is 0.81, which is lower than risk aware no. So lower returns, despite higher Tesla allocation, returns were lower, right? higher ቴስላን የሰጠነው እዚህ ጋር 60% ቴስላ ሰጠነው ግን ሪተርኑ ሎወር ነው እየሰጠን ያለው and unexpectedly lower volatility ነው የሰጠው አንዳንዴ ስፔሲፊክ ታይም ፔሪድ ኖሮታል ግን ሪስኩ ትንሽ አሪፍ ነው የዚህኛው የሰጠነው ግን worst risk adjusted ደግሞ 0.81 versus 0.92 Sharpe ratio which is very high ማለት ነው so we can see that risk aware የሆነ weight ስንሰጠው ወይም ደግሞ የተጠና weight ስንሰጠውና ዝም ብለን aggressively weight ማንኛውን weight provide ስናደርግ የተለያየ አይነት risk እና የተለያየ አይነት return እያገኘን እንደሆነ so always we have to balance the risk in return not always to maximize the returns so the risk aware approach is always superior in our analysis. So we can compare the aggressive portfolio and the risk-aware portfolio here. So the aggressive portfolio, you can see it, which has low growth comparison to the risk-aware. The risk-aware has high growth portfolio growth. You can see the difference. በጣም difference እንዳለ ያሳያል ማለት ነው ዝም ብለን weight ስንሰጥና risk aware የሆነ weight ስንሰጥ so this is it for today if you do have any questions you're welcome is everything clear okay yeah thank you I think ከትናንትናውም ቀጠለ ስለሆነ በቃ አናሊሲሱን ቤተር በደንብ መስራት እንዳለብን የሚያሳይ ኮርስ ስለሆነ አሪፍ ይዛችሁታል ብዬ አስባለሁ ከትናንትናውም ጋር ተመሳሳይ ስለሆነ የተወሰነ okay if you don't have any other questions thank you so much for joining and have a nice day if you do have any other questions try to reach us on Slack and thank you for joining have a nice day goodbye